Hello and welcome to this basic course on learning Java. Now this course is for you if you've never programmed before or you've only programmed a little bit and you have no idea what things like variables, methods, structures, classes, you have no idea what all that stuff means. In this course, I'm going to take you through step by step exactly what each of those things mean and how you can use them to create a program for your own needs. Now, you're here for Java, but what you're actually going to learn are the basic building blocks of most programming languages, such as C#, Swift, Objective-C, Kotlin, anything new and great, Python, PHP, etc. So you're not just learning Java here, you're actually learning to code. You're learning the fundamental building blocks that let you make anything from mobile apps to software as a service to websites. Absolutely anything you can think of. So let's go through what you're actually going to do in this very short course. Here we start with a quite scary looking list of words that are probably not familiar to you if you've never programmed before. Or if they are familiar, you might not know what some of these actually mean. So in this course, we're going to go through every single one of these. And once you have all of these, or even half of these in your mind, then you'll be able to create almost anything you can think of. So we're going to go through variables. Variables are just a way of storing things in memory. Then we're going to look at operators. You know operators already. They're something from maths. Plus to plus 2. Plus is the operator. Minus, divide, times, and a whole bunch of others that are programming specific. Then we have conversions. So in programming, we have, let's say, a number. But to a computer, it needs to know if that is a specific kind of number. Is it a number that's a word, or is it a number that's a number? And I know that might not mean anything right now, but you'll see why that's important when we get onto that. Then we'll look at comparisons. Comparisons are ways that we look at two bits of data, two variables, and we see if they're alike or if they're different, and then we do something with that. So a very simple example might be if I have two apples, one is red, one is green, a comparison would say, is apple 1 equal to apple 2? And the computer would say, no, because the colors are different. And that's a comparison in programming. Then we have loops. Loops are valuable to go through lots and lots of data round in a circle, pulling one row at a time from a big long list of data and then doing something with it. Loops are everywhere in programming, and they're actually the biggest problem that we have as programmers in terms of making our programs efficient. So I'm going to show you how to run loops, what they're all about, and maybe give you one or two pointers to watch out for when you're running loops in your own programs. Then we're going to look at arrays. Arrays are just a fancy way of saying a list of items. It's an array. So I have 5 apples, and if I ran a loop over those apples, I'd pull out one apple at a time from that list and do something with the apple, like slice it up and eat it. Then we're going to have methods. A method is exactly what it sounds like. A method is just a way of doing something. So if I said to you, here is a method to make rice pudding. You get some rice, you put water in the rice, you add whatever else you need for rice pudding, you shove it into a pan, pop it into the oven, and out comes rice pudding. You would call that the method for creating rice pudding. So you might say rice pudding cooking method. That's simply a method, and we use them everywhere in programming. Then we have classes. You can probably think of classes as a blueprint on how to do something. So a class might be a recipe. By itself, a recipe just kind of sits in the recipe book and isn't a manifest thing yet. So you'll have a recipe for a chocolate cake. Just because the recipe's there doesn't mean that the chocolate cake actually exists yet. It's simply a way of creating chocolate cake. So what you do is you then follow that blueprint, that recipe, and at the end you have a chocolate cake. And that's simply what a class is in programming. It's a blueprint to create something. Finally, we have inheritance. And inheritance is something that we add on to classes mostly in order to have shortcuts in programming so we don't repeat lots of code. I won't tell you what those are now because you can see for yourself as you go through the course. So I'm very much looking forward to teaching you all these basics, and once again, once you have all these basics down, you'll be able to program the basics of pretty much any programming language you can think of.